Good evening, everybody. Hello, Glenn Marshall Adams.
Well, Miss Legs.
Do you know who you sound like?
Go on, tell me.
Beverly Leslie.
Again?
Yes. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, Sips and Giggles lovers, Patreon associates, welcome to this wonderful and special edition of Sips and Giggles.
Ooh.
And can I tell the kids why?
Yes, absolutely.
Because tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I am so glad to navigate this one because it's my turn to not turn the tables, but to shed light on something wonderful, fantastic, and truly life-changing that both of us have went through something quite similar in the last few months, and both of us are coming out the other side. And this time, it's not me. No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm raging when it's not about me. But, you know, oh, God, talk about stealing my thunder. I go and get two new twin girls, Cagney and Lacey, my hips. And, of course, Glenn Marshall Adams, ladies and gentlemen, all the way back from Turkey with his brand new hair transplant. How are you, my love?
I am well. I am sporting the shaved head look.
Yes.
I have the pin-pricked head. Yeah. I was thinking when I was looking in the mirror, do you remember whenever you were like, do you remember whenever you were really young and you used to get those dolls where you used to cut the hair and you cut the hair so far down that you could actually see the individual plugs on the doll's head? It's what it looked like.
All right, okay. It was like a massacre, a doll massacre in your house, was it?
Pretty much. Pretty much. But
there was a Baldy Barbie fest going on in Glenn's house.
I cannot wait to be free of the Baldy moniker because for years people have been calling me Baldy, and as you know, I don't really mind it. Like, it's a bit of slagging and all the rest of it.
I have to say, when you FaceTime me last week from Turkey, my heart went out to you because it was this day last week. It was the Monday. Do you mind?
It was.
And Turkey's 3 hours in front.
It was.
I've never seen you look so knackered in all my puff.
I was pretty exhausted.
I have never seen a child look so. I just wanted to kiss you, breastfeed you, and then put you down. Oh, sorry, kiss you, breastfeed you, then wind you, and then put you down, and then into bed. And I was just looking at, and your two eyes were banging together, and you were trying to keep yourself awake, and then you were explaining the process. But before we do, this is what we're going to discuss tonight.
Yep, we're going to discuss my hair transplant.
Your hair transplant and all the ins, the outs, the ups, no downs, because I think it's one big, huge, massive plus.
Yeah, positive. I know, 100%. I mean, I think what I'd like to certainly do in this episode is to cover all aspects of it. So, you know, talk about decision making and some of the things that now that I've been through the process, like the procedure itself, some of the things that I could maybe help other people understand. You mentioned there about there being no downs. You're absolutely right. There weren't any downs, but there were things like you mentioned there that you seen me last week. That the one thing that killed me the whole way through this experience was exhaustion. And it was all my own doing. It was me building everything up in my head, particularly the night before. And, you know, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, as the episode goes on.
Shall we get stuck in, darling?
Oh, why not?
Okay. Now, here, I want to ask you this. Why did you decide to get a hair transplant now? And how long had you been considering it?
Well, it's interesting because I started losing my hair in my early 20s. And for years and years and years, it's just been gradually falling out. And to be honest, I had kind of just made my peace with it. Right. So I just accepted my hair's falling out. It's thinning, not much I can do. Yeah. And still over gorgeous. The years, thanks very much. And over the years, it just got worse and worse. So I started really cutting my hair higher and higher and, you know, keeping it sort of short and short. And the idea of a hair transplant, now about 6 or 7 years ago, I did go for a consultation in Hollywood actually about going for a hair transplant. And the cost then was about £5,000. And I kind of thought, like, really, what am I chasing here? Like, what is it? What is it that I'm actually chasing? So I decided that I'm not going to bother doing anything with it, and I just accepted it. Fast forward, and last year, a friend of mine who actually I work with, had disappeared for a couple of weeks, came into the office and had a hair transplant.
No way.
So of course I was really, like, my interest was piqued. I was like, right, tell me everything there is to know. And
Can I ask you this?
Yep.
Is it because when you seen your colleague in work, the difference that it made, did it make you go, oh my God?
It was a couple of things. And the first thing I asked, where did you go? And how much did it cost?
Yes.
And he explained that he went to Istanbul and
Turkey.
In Turkey, and he explained to me that it was £1,500. Now,
that's for nothing.
£1,500 is significant because, as I've said already, if I was to go to the likes of Manchester or London, they can range anywhere from £2,000 to £10,000, and a lot of the cost is based upon the amount of follicles, etc., that you need extracted and transplanted. So, from speaking to him, cost was a big factor. Having somebody went through the process and explain the process to me, that was really the deciding factor around why I felt, okay, I really think I could do this for me. And sure enough, after that, so I kind of watched his progress over the course of last year.
Did you?
I was like, "You're my guinea pig," and every now and again, I would just trying to go up and sort of check in on him and sort of, like
feel his hair,
stare at his head,
grab his pigtails,
and
did you sit plait his hair on your lunch? Would you? Yeah.
Oh, why?
Let me put
Like, I
that in
can't
the
wait until I have a floppy fringe like yours, so I can flick my hair too.
I'll do your hair. Tell me this, Glenn. What research did you do before committing to the procedure?
So I looked at clinics in the UK, as I've said already. I looked in clinics in Spain. I looked at clinics in Turkey. I looked kind of everywhere. Turkey was the one place that kept coming up time and time again. Now, bearing in mind, my friend in work, I already had that kind of recommendation from them that, Turkey is decent enough to go to, it's clean enough, it's safe enough, and so on. So I kind of done my research, looked at all of the clinics, looked at what the process was and what every clinic done in terms of the procedure, got quotes for each of those as well. And then I had a look just on likes of Trustpilot. I looked on like Google reviews. I Googled, or I looked it up on Facebook as well to kind of see what other people were talking about, and TikTok as well. So I kind of used a lot of the tools at my disposal. After looking into a lot of the UK clinics, though, I wasn't convinced. And this is a really funny thing, right? We in the UK, we truly believe that we have one of the best health services on the planet. I truly believe we do.
Yeah, we do.
But when you go for a private procedure, a cosmetic procedure, realistically, I appreciate that we are heavily regulated in the UK, but realistically, you are exposed by and large to the same complications that you would get, in my opinion, in any other country in the rest of the world.
Right, okay.
So I kind of thought, well, it doesn't. From my point of view, it's like, well, I could go to London, have a hair transplant, something could go wrong. I could go to Manchester, have a hair transplant,
Absolutely.
something could go wrong.
Yeah.
I could go to Turkey, something could go wrong.
Yeah.
So I just decided, well, why not? Like, ultimately.
You do hear, unfortunately, of some poor souls when they go to these foreign countries, not just Turkey, other places, and unfortunately, it goes incredibly wrong.
Yeah, but Tina, I came
That can
across
happen anywhere.
I came across reviews in the UK
of it
happening, and that's kind of that was kind of as part of my research. I thought, well, I could potentially spend 3-4 times the amount of money to get something in the UK, for it to go wrong or to have poor results, or I could spend a fraction of the cost, go to a foreign country such as Turkey, which, by the way, it's routine for them out there now. They are churning people out day in and day out. So
plain falls.
It's kind of like, I kind of felt, well, if I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to go to a trusted place that have done this day by day. They know what they're doing. It's their bread and butter. It's not the first time that I've been, it's not the first time that they've done a transplant.
No.
So that was one of the biggest.
It's their art.
Yeah.
It's their art, cosmetic surgery. And I do believe, because now, can I just put this in there? When I was chatting to you and you showed me your room you stayed in, oh my God.
Oh, my room. Oh,
top
yes.
notch.
Oh, yes, the hotel that
Spotless,
they put you up in.
Immaculate, spacious. Everything was.
It was a 5-star hotel.
Was it?
It was 5-star.
And that was for $1,500.
Well, so the way that it works is that they give you the quote, and your quote includes the procedure. It also includes one course of plasma, which is PRP, it's known as. And basically, this is where they draw your blood, they spin it to separate the plasma to put it into your head. So it's basically your blood they're injecting back into you. It included airport transfers to and from the airport, and your hotel, which was bed and breakfast for 2 nights.
Wow.
And that was the $1,500 all in. Now, I should also point out, the friend that I spoke about earlier, because they'd been through the process.
Yes.
They referred me, and because they referred me, I get 200 quid off the cost of my procedure.
Wow.
So actually, all in all, the procedure cost me £1,300.
That's incredible.
Now, it doesn't include flights. Flights are your responsibility, so I had to pay extra for that.
Mm-hmm.
But for £1,300 for, for accommodation and for the treatment and all of the other stuff.
So put it out there, how much were the flights? So you went from Belfast to Heathrow?
I did.
Much return?
Okay, again, disclaimer.
Here we go.
I could have done this. It could have went from Dublin direct.
Okay.
I could have went from Belfast, London. Both of those flights were coming in at around 370 quid return.
Okay.
But I did treat myself to business class. And the only reason I'd done that was because...
From Heathrow to Turkey?
Yeah, and return. So from Belfast to Heathrow, Heathrow to Turkey. So I got business class.
Business class, right, okay.
On all 4 of the flights. And the only reason I'd done that is because actually, when I looked at the cost of them, they weren't overly expensive. I always thought I'd like to try a business class. And also, it meant that there wasn't going to be anybody sitting beside me on the plane, and I didn't really want to have to make small talk with anybody. And that was just my preference. I say I probably will never do that again, but...
No. Well, come here, tell me this. Did you have any hesitations and fears before going through with it?
Absolutely. I mean, I was very hesitant, as I mentioned already, about going to Turkey, because you hear a lot of stories.
It's only the bad stuff you hear.
Well, this is it. My own mum was like, when I explained to her I was going to Turkey, she was like, oh goodness, right? Have you done your research? And are you sure you really want to do this? And I get it. Like I've watched Botched Abroad. I've watched those programs of people who have went for cosmetic surgery, and you hear all of the stories. But Tina, I've also seen the same reviews of people that have went to clinics in the UK and have had the same experience, as I've said. So I get
that, and you very rarely hear of the success stories. It's always the bad that make the news and the headlines, and God love them, and people, as hard as it affects their lives. But it would be, as you say, do your homework. Yeah. Do your research.
Definitely.
Check qualifications. You have every right to dig deep and go by the reviews, and definitely. I mean,
but the thing about any clinic that's promoted in the UK, there's a UK Trustpilot for them.
Absolutely.
So you can actually go on to UK Trustpilot, have a look, as I've said already, at Google reviews. The other thing that I did have around hesitation and fears was the associated pain, and I mentioned already that I managed to build this up in my head.
Yeah,
I made the really silly mistake of looking at TikTok a couple of days.
Silly sausage.
I know, a couple of days before actually going for the surgery. And
did you see horror stories?
Because you've got so much content on there, and bearing in mind everybody's pain threshold is completely different. And I was coming across some of them, and the people that I'd spoken to who had already been for the surgery that I knew, not online but just knew, they all sort of said that it's uncomfortable, and the most painful part was when they were doing the anesthetic injections. Yeah. So that was kind of in my head. I was going, well, it's just an injection. But then when I got onto TikTok, there was people on there going, oh, the pain was excruciating. Now, Tina, I in my head think if somebody says the word excruciating, I'm thinking World War I, somebody having a limb removed without anaesthetic. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
bite down on that torch.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in my head,
I have a tourniquet. We don't have a tourniquet. Here, use the sleeve out duffel coat.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm going, like, that's my idea of excruciating. Yeah. And a lot of people were saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a solid 7. And even then I'm going, 7's quite high up there. Yeah. Like, that's still pretty sore. Okay. So in my head, I'd really built this up. I got really anxious about it. And then, of course, the night before the surgery, it really hit home. I had 1 hour sleep. So that was probably one of the biggest hesitations that I had before going through with it, was the pain. However, the pain wasn't actually what I imagined.
Nowhere near it.
Nowhere near.
But you see, this is your perception, because you're listening to them, and you're seeing this thing on TikTok. You're seeing these real people saying, oh my God, it was horrendous. It was excruciating. These are people that probably, it's like a pinprick. Oh my God, my hand's falling off.
Tina, there were men talking about how if they ever go back for a second surgery, they're being put under. They're going
General anaesthetic.
They're going to get a general anaesthetic.
Back for crying out
just
loud.
so they don't have to feel the injections in the back of their head. Let me explain it to you.
Think of it.
This is probably a bit of an overshare, right? But in our household when we were growing up, our household was a family of spot squeezers, right?
Pimple poppers.
Pimple poppers. So, like, you know, if it was my sister or my mum would see a spot, I'd be like, here, let me squeeze that for you, right?
Couldn't leave it alone.
So I'm kind of used to that pain, yeah? So maybe that's where my pain threshold is maybe a little bit higher than most because I was kind of used to that. The only way I can describe it is as if someone's been trying to pop a pimple on your head. It's uncomfortable.
But that's it.
But it's not like it's not prolonged pain. The pain dissipates. So there were moments where they were injecting me and I thought, oh God, that is a bit nippy.
That one was sore. Yeah.
Well, not, but it's just nippy. It's like stingy. It's not like,
Okay.
I'm not sort of there screaming going, you know, I'm in absolute agony. It was just like, oh, that one there was a bit nippy. It's like that. The other way is if, do you know the fine hairs that you have on the bottom of your neck?
Yes.
Do you know, maybe you've never experienced this, but particularly
Somebody
females,
pulls them.
and somebody pulls it, yanks it, really yanks it, and you go,
Yeah.
But
A former drag queen used to be fond of that. She'd be sitting twiggling your hair and twiggling her. Next thing she just used to pluck.
But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's that kind of pain where you'd go, but you're not going
to
to.
past her 5 minutes later and step over as she was trying to regain her consciousness.
But you wouldn't be like you're not. I wouldn't say that is excruciating. I would just say
No, it's not.
that was uncomfortable. It was stingy.
Stingy.
It's like that. Now I have to say, I have to tell you this though. They do about 50 injections all over your head. So each injection, it's seconds of uncomfortableness. And there were moments, I have to say. So have you ever heard of bone conduction earphones? Have you ever heard of this? So this is whereby you don't have earphones that actually go into your ears. Instead, what they do is just the headphones sit on the temple of your skull and you can hear the music through your bone in your inner ear. So the only way I can describe this is when they were putting the injections in, I could hear it hitting my skull and I could hear the sound sort of like vibrating the whole way through my skull into my ear.
The weird.
Isn't it so bizarre?
Weird. It's
but it was like
bizarre.
a crunch and it was like, you were sort of going like, oh, that was...
Right in the middle of steps. Talk about one for sorrow. Not gonna... Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Can you walk us through the day of the procedure?
Yeah.
What happened and how did you feel?
Oh, okay. Super anxious. I think right up until after the surgery, I was anxious. I was feeling very nauseous, and I was quite fearful. Just again because I'd built this up in my head.
Yeah.
So they picked us up at 6:50 a.m. in the morning. I had to go and get some breakfast. They do tell you make sure that you get breakfast because you are undergoing surgery for about 6 to 8 hours. Oh. So it is a long day. So
that's a very long day.
It was 10 to 7 in the morning. We arrived at the clinic. They take us in, fill out all the medical forms that you need to fill in, you know, all that kind of standard stuff to sort of wave your life away that if something goes wrong.
Adios, I'm leaving everything to Tina Legs.
And then they bring you into a small room where you meet your surgeon, and then your surgeon draws out your hairline. So the hair is divided into zones.
Okay.
So they then draw out the individual zones on your head, and then they'll basically say, okay, we're going to do zone 2, zone 3, or zone 4, or whatever. And then you can assess whether or not the hairline that they've drawn out for you is where your hairline's going to be. And then they talk about really what's going to happen throughout the day.
Right.
So they sort of give you a heads up, and then they take you in and they do some blood tests. So they test you for HIV, Hep, all those kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then
How did that go?
I passed all 3.
Thank God.
And then what they do is that whenever they're really ready to start, they bring you into like a massage table. You lie down with your head, and they just start injecting all over your head, the anesthetic all over your head.
Perfect.
Then essentially what they do is so I had opted for something called a sapphire blade. They use like a really sharp scalpel, but it's a minuscule scalpel. Mm-hmm. And then they basically go through the entire area in your head up to 3,000 times. And they literally do incisions, very small incisions in your head, 3,000 times.
Your head must have been like a sieve. Honest to God.
It was again one of those weird sort of. I could hear with every time she made an incision, I could hear
You
it
could
in my
hear it in the bone.
ears,
Yeah.
hitting the bone. It's just
Wow.
weird. Like it was like a crunch. It was bizarre. So essentially, then what they do is, so once they make all those incisions, they then flip you over,
Oh,
and then they get
you're a burger now, baby.
they get more anesthetic into the back of your head.
Yeah.
And then they use a very, 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 very small machine. It looks like an apple core. And it basically has a rotating blade on it. And what they do is they simply stab that into the back of your head. Again,
Savage.
about 3,000 times all over the back of your head. They basically cut out a hole around a follicle
Yeah.
in the back of your head. And then they get a tweezer and they tweeze that out. And then they basically will put that into a saline solution to separate it and clean it. So they have the actual hair and the root. And then what they do is they flip you back over, and then they start to basically take each individual hair follicle and put that into the front of your
Insert.
head 3,000 times.
Oh my God, imagine doing that all day.
It was, I mean, I fell asleep for a couple of hours.
Oh, I'm not surprised, love.
But I did have my music on.
You're lucky they never fell asleep.
Listen, they done back-to-back shifts. See, as soon as I was out of there, somebody else was straight in.
You're joking me.
I can only assume that they have beds or something there.
Well, at least they have beds. You know, God love our poor NHS.
But it was a long day.
It sounds like it. Do you know what I mean?
But it was, but it was pain free. The procedure was pain free. Actually, let me just rephrase that. There were moments where I could feel that the anaesthetic just hadn't quite taken.
There were moments of gold and there were flashes of life. There were things I'd never do again, but then they'd always seem right.
There were nights of endless pleasure.
There was moment on the love. Baby, when you pluck me like this. Sorry about that, folks. I just felt a Celine Dion just channeling through there.
There were moments where I could feel the anaesthetic hadn't quite taken. So I had to sort of say to them, I had to just sort of go, oh, could you just pause a wee second? And then she would go, can you feel that? And they would then again inject me.
Here, what was anything easier than expected? Like, was there a part where you were dreading the most and you were like, is that it?
Tina, the entire thing.
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
The whole package?
As I said to you, I built it up so much in my head that I was kind of like, okay, so they've done the injections. They're a little bit nippy. Okay, so really, that's it. Everything, like just the procedure now needs to roll.
Yeah.
Like I said, there were a couple of moments where I could feel, like when they were getting to the lower part of my neck, for example, I could feel every time that she stuck the wee core thing in.
Yeah.
I could feel that nip. So I kind of just said, I can feel that there. And she was straight out and stabbed me, and then that was, jabbed me, and that was it.
Oh,
but
good for you.
The overall procedure wasn't actually as difficult as I had thought
So
it was
you
going to be.
overthought it.
100%.
And can I just say here, and would it be right for me to say then, okay, so listening to what you have said earlier then, would you honestly say that if anybody is contemplating seriously getting this procedure done, right, do not go onto social media and have a look?
I mean, definitely don't do that.
You're going to find something that's going to make that's going to cause you to set.
It will give you anxiety.
That's what I was looking for.
It will.
You're going to get anxiety, and then it'll be like, but that fella said, or that woman said, or that lady said, and.
But I think the other thing is that you also run the risk of listening to this, thinking Glenn said it's a breeze, and then that person going and lying down on the table and having a completely different experience. I think my advice on that simply would be is that. Understand that you're going for surgery.
Aye.
Understand that there are injections which need to go in under the skin.
Of course.
That therefore there will be an associated pain to that. If you have a high or you've got a higher pain threshold, you might find it more comfortable.
Of course.
It's not a prolonged pain. That's what I will say. I can guarantee that.
It's just done. And then move on.
Yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable.
Well, here, how long did the procedure take? And what was recovery like in the first 48 hours?
So the procedure lasted for about 7 hours I was in total.
Oh.
There were moments, by the way, where I did feel a little bit lightheaded. So they had to check my blood pressure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was because they extracted a lot of blood from me at the very beginning of the day. I wasn't really keeping myself hydrated properly before I went for the procedure.
Really? So they tell you specifically to drink lots and lots of liquids or water or juice or gin?
Not really. They did tell us before the procedure, 3 days before, not to drink alcohol. You're not supposed to smoke for 2 weeks. You're not supposed to take, any kind of medication in the lead up to it. There is a whole bunch of, instructions that you're supposed to follow, which I believe I followed. But I think just because I didn't sleep very well, and rather than my body being in sort of recovery mode, I was practically awake for 24 hours. And in hindsight, I probably didn't really drink enough water.
Yeah.
Had I have been asleep, I probably wouldn't needed to have drunk enough water,
Right.
But for the first 48 hours after the surgery, they gave me some lunch, something to eat, and then the cab came, the intra-city transfer came and picked me up, and they whisked me back to the hotel. I get back into the hotel and I lay on the bed and I fell asleep instantly.
Out for the count.
But it was only for about 45 minutes or so.
Oh.
But for those 45 minutes, it felt like hours.
Yeah.
There wasn't really any pain. My head was numb. I was all bandaged up. So that where they had extracted the follicles at the back of your head, they had a big bandage over that.
Did you come in like a big rabbi?
Yes. I was genuinely a pincushion at that point. You? Yeah.
Like a good came a kerplunk.
Kerplunk, yes, definitely.
Full of holes.
So the back of my head was all bandaged up. The front of my head was exposed where they'd done the grafts.
Yes, of course.
But the recovery, they give you meds. So they give you antibiotics. They give you 500 milligram paracetamol. They give you anti-inflammatory tablets. They gave me a stomach tablet and things. They give you a couple of medications to take as soon as you're out of surgery,
Right, okay.
But there was no pain. Like, I was sort of waiting for the anesthetic to wear off.
Yeah.
As you would undergoing any kind of surgery. And you'll know this, when you're under your anesthetic, and then as it starts to wear off, you start to feel... There was nothing like that.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, if I was to prod it or touch it, then obviously I'm aggravating the area. But at rest and not touching it, there was no pain.
Wow.
And it's been like that for a week now.
Well, you know what? I think that's very encouraging because there's people out there who would love to get it done, but they want to know what the after is like when you come out of surgery, when you're on your way home, when you're just released.
Yeah.
Because most people who go to Turkey travel alone.
Yeah, and I did too.
Yeah.
And I did too. The other thing that they give to us the day after the surgery is they give you a headband.
Oh, I'd love one.
Now, I have to say,
any Diamantes on it?
I done a bit of research on this, and some surgeries do give you the headbands, some don't. So again, you'd need to do your research. You'd need to ask your questions about this. I did.
Oh.
But the one that they gave to me
Can I have it?
The one that they gave to me, the one that they put on the day after, it had the word Longevita wrote on it.
Oh.
Now, Longevita is the provider that I used to go to Turkey to get my transplant.
Get your transplant.
But it had the word Longevita on it. And when I looked at it, it was big. Like, it was big. And I thought, I have to walk through Heathrow Airport with this on.
Oh, God.
So I actually went on to the Nike store online, and I actually bought a sweatband to put over it. So I had something stylish to put over it. But
I had been sitting in my room in the hotel before I left with a packet of Diamante stones and a tube of
Doing each one.
I'd have just put it in like Tina legs right across the front.
They basically give you that because the amount of anesthetic that they put into your head,
yes,
with the inflammation and the swelling, there is a chance that fluid can then start to drop down into your face, so into the bridge of your nose, the side of your head, etc.
Cause unnecessary swelling.
Yeah, so the idea there is that if you're using a headband, it kind of keeps the fluid in the upper part of your head.
Okay.
Now, I have to say, I have seen some of the swelling that other people have had. And I mean, I had mild swelling compared to what other people have had. I think I got off very lightly. I don't know whether it was because I had doubled up on my headband.
Lay a run about like the Elephant Man.
Or I just have pretty good recovery time.
I am not an animal.
Hey, you guys. But I had mild swelling, and I mean, it dissipated relatively quickly as well.
And tell me this, so here's a question I wanted to ask you. When you got to the airport in Turkey and you were getting on the plane, was everybody in bandages?
Yes.
I knew that.
Do you know where it first struck me was actually going through security. the amount of people who were
Had a bit of work done.
that had their headbands on. That's the first thing you'll spot is the headbands.
Right.
Because most surgeries, as I say, most clinics will give them out, some don't.
Yeah.
And some people might opt not to wear them as well. It's completely your choice.
Yeah.
But going through security, the amount of people, I'd seen people with the headbands on. I'd seen people with a full head covered, where people must have had their ears pinned back, or a facelift. Yeah. People that had their noses done. So there was a lot of that. And actually, one thing, it would be remiss of me not to mention, when I was actually in the clinic, there were actually females there as well. So it wasn't just men
getting hair transplants.
Yeah,
good for them.
It was actually women of color. I think obviously, women of color tend to wear weaves and things like that. So I would imagine that might have a negative impact upon their natural hair.
Of course.
So there was actually 2 women who were there getting a hair transplant when we were in. So it's not just for men.
I think anybody who wants a wee bit of something done, get it done.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't hold back. We're in an age now, it's 2025. If you've got the money and you've worked your day and you're responsible for nobody, jump on a plane, do your research, do your homework, read the reviews, ask a lot of questions, and if you're happy enough, go and get it done.
100%.
Because it's going to make you happy.
100%.
So listen, so now you're home, honey, right?
I am,
I'm
yeah.
glad to see you.
Thank you.
Doll. Tell me this, what has your daily routine been like during recovery?
It's been a bit tough, actually.
Why?
So one of the things that they basically tell you is that you have to get, like a flight pillow if you're going on like a long haul flight?
Yeah.
So again, there was a gentleman that I met in Manchester that told me to get a memory foam one.
Okay.
And I'm so glad I listened to him, because the one that they give to you is just an air-filled one. Ugh. And it doesn't look very comfortable at all.
No.
So now that I'm home, I have to basically lie in bed with a memory foam pillow on. Okay. Now, it's between 7 and 10 days. I'm going to go the full 10 days because I want to protect my grafts as much as possible. But lying in bed with a memory foam pillow on, not allowed to lie on your side because, again, I need to protect the front of my head, the temple. And I traditionally, I've always lay on my side. When I go to sleep, I've always lay on my side.
Pop,
so you'll know how I'm feeling about this.
Absolutely. 6 weeks. Anyway, it's not about me.
No, but you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from.
Oh my God, I get it.
It's tough. And it's like, it's the waking up the middle of the night.
And you are looking up at the ceiling.
But my lower back and the top of my bum gets numb just from lying in the same position all the time.
Do you know I nearly got pressure sores in my heels?
Jeez.
I literally had, my skin was turning so soft in both my heels, and I started to get worried. Do you know what I done? I got 2 marigolds. 2 marigolds.
Love it.
And I filled them with warm water, and I tied them in knots, and then I put them under my heels.
Oh, good
and they
idea.
saved them from breaking down.
Oh, good idea.
I got that from a Royal.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I did.
But that's like kind of like the sleeping element of it. But my daily routine now is I have to take my meds. So I'm actually just finishing my course of antibiotics.
Good.
I've got a whole bunch of vitamins. I'm on vitamins now for the rest of my life, basically. They tell you that, you need to take care of your hair now. So
hair care.
Taking things like biotin, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin B, omega-3, all of those kind of things. Yeah. But they've also given us a daily shampoo that I need to put on. And it's kind of like I need to put it on the actual grafts, and then I've got to leave it for 30 minutes and then rinse it. Mm-hmm. And then I've got like a shampoo that they give to me, a different type of shampoo, which I then have to just put on both all over my hair, including the back of the donor area.
Yes.
And then I have to basically wash that. So I have to do that daily. But other than that,
and now you're in a wee routine, I would imagine.
Yeah,
you're used to it.
I've ordered myself a pill box.
You can have mine, love. Mine is a pill trolley.
I've ordered a pill box off of Amazon for 59p.
Oh, get a bargain.
So and I've set the reminders up for my medication on my phone so I don't forget.
I only took mine off on Thursday, the 9th of January. That was my 6 weeks up.
Oh, how do you know when you're getting old without actually saying you're getting old?
Oh, honey, I hear you, girl. I hear you.
But look, I can't leave the house at the moment due to risk of infection. Yep. Obviously, I can't go outside because, if there's high winds, that my hair might blow away. I can't use high pressure.
Transplant fly down the motorway.
I can't
Grab that, it costs 1,300.
I can't use high pressure shower, so I've got to just sort of like, you know, a cup of water to sort of wash my head and things like that.
Like when you were away and the mummy used to just scoop you up into your arms, and then she used to tilt you from her elbow and she'd get a wee drop of water. What's your mummy's called? Louise. And Louise would have been like that, and she would have dug her wee elbow in the sink. It's tapping now, it's tapping. Very lovely. And here she was singing, "Oh, hush, bye, baby, on the treetop." Yet again, the Goonies. And the wind blows, and then do the wee water over the head. Do you want me to do your head, son? Do you want me to wash your head, Colleen?
No, I'm all right. Thanks very much.
Tip you over now.
No, that's all right. I'm pretty sure I end up getting baptized while I'm at it.
I christened thee.
But nothing too strenuous or weird or wonderful. As I've said.
Well, listen, tell me this. Have you noticed any unexpected side effects or things people don't often talk about?
Yes. One of the things that I've noticed and I've came across that people aren't really talking about. So you've got to remember the donor area, the back of your head. Whenever you get the surgery, if it's not bandaged properly, it can seep, and actually it does seep.
Does it?
It's because at the end of the day, it's, you know, you're literally had 3,000 holes drilled into the back of your head.
Of course.
So it will blood and pus, like a almost like an orange pus coming out of it.
Yeah, mucus.
I don't know if that's the right term, but
and the Royal they used to say muck.
So
it's just muck.
What they done. So what Longevita gave you in your care bag after your surgery, they give you, do you know, like puppy pads?
Aye.
They gave you 2 of them.
Okay.
So I put them over the pillow for the hotel, because the hotel will charge you if you soil their sheets.
Oh.
Because it's not.
Listen. Let's put that out there. This is a health and care warning from Miss Tina Legs and Glenn Marshall Adams. If you're any kind of surgery, if you're going to Turkey, bring puppy training pads.
So I went and bought 30 of them.
Good
and
for you.
I brought extra with me because they only give you 2.
Oh,
and you know it's not enough.
They're crafty, aren't they?
It's not enough.
Shifty.
And actually, when I checked out, the hotel said, "Oh, we're just going to get somebody to check your room. If you can please wait there." Go. Yeah.
Oh.
So that was something that nobody was really talking about. And even when I got home, I mentioned to you that I have the memory foam flight pillow, yeah. Travel pillow. I actually wrap that with a puppy pad.
Good for you.
So it meant that in the morning I didn't have to sort of clean it, but that went on for about 3 or 4 days.
Where was there must discharge?
It was discharge. That's the word I was looking for, Tina. Discharge.
You're welcome.
There was discharge from the back of my head. So there was a lot of discharge for days after. Now, it wasn't sore, I have to say, but it's just a bit of a mess.
The body's natural way of saying this shouldn't be here. We need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But the beauty, your aftercare was you were quite sensible in the sense you actually went and bought 30 of those puppy training pads. You protected your finances by putting those on the
even
sheets.
in my own bed at home now.
That's it. Yeah.
Even my own bed at home now.
Her husband awakened up.
Oh, Gary, he's been going to bed having a chuckle to himself. Like,
God love him.
It's like, getting into bed, he's like, just make sure you put your wee pad down there. And then we're getting into bed.
He's a good boy. You're casting there like a border collie in the Highlands. Honest to God,
he's a good boy.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy.
But
roll over.
But there is, like I mentioned earlier, there are a whole bunch of like things after the procedure that you're not allowed to do. So I'm not allowed to eat salty foods, not to drink alcohol, of course. Not allowed to drink caffeine because
Stop.
I know.
You're not allowed to drink alcohol.
Not for at least 10 days anyway.
So we're on day 7.
Not obviously have to abstain from sexual activity.
Dead on, love. Dead on. I'll see you later. Who's going to know? You can always do it snotting up on the floor. Put 2 puppy pads down, Carrie. That's your one. That's my one.
My mother's going to listen to this. I'm going to have to cut all that out.
Great. I'm telling you. Do you know what? We've opened up a whole new section. You know, health and safety sex life.
Post surgery.
Have you tried puppy pads with your husband or wife? Saves you from running and getting a towel.
What What are you talking about? Most people just use the curtains.
I know. The pillowcase. Where's the puppy pads? There's none left. Oh, that's good. You know what? Those are handy wee tips. And that's something I would never even have thought about.
The other thing, by the way, which I came across just one person mentioning this, which I've copied, particularly after your surgery and after your grafts and your the 3,000 holes in the back of your head.
Yes.
Whenever they start to heal, they start to scab over.
Oh.
And they become really itchy. So I bought myself a small pump action spray bottle.
Okay.
Filled it with water. And anytime it's itchy, I just spray.
That's what you were squirting when I came in.
It was. And it's just, that's it sitting there.
It was me looking at you. I thought, what's wrong with him now? He's brought the turkey and he's come back. He's starting there sprinkling them. And I couldn't even smell anything because I thought, you know what I mean? You get all the rip-offs in turkey.
Christ compels me.
I was having a good sniff. I was like, I'll tell you what, you were took on with that one because you could smell nothing. And you were like,
holy water.
That's holy water, Tina. By Jesus, you need it.
But, oh God, here, you kidding me? If that was holy water, I'm pretty sure I'd combust.
I can't wait to see you in the summer. We have big beehive one week, and 2 massive big ponytails like Baby Spice the next week.
Tina, in the summer, if I have my fringe, I'm going to have to wear like a fez or something on the back of my head because I'm going to, a fez, do you know one of those sort of like Arab hats?
Oh, yeah.
Or one of those, whatever the Jewish people wear to cover their crown.
That little round thing.
I'm going to have to wear one of them because I've no hair in the back of my head.
Because have you seen the length of mine, love?
Well, as you know, I have to go back for a second transplant. That was always the agreement.
Okay. Well, we're going to pause on that one, okay? Yeah. And we'll come back to that. Tell me this, how are you feeling emotionally about the results so far, even though they may not be final?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not final. I mean, it's going to take me at least 8 to 12 months to sort of see the final results.
Yeah.
Before I really will know,
of course,
if it's been a success. But I am happy that I went. Yeah. I'm so annoyed with myself that I let myself get so built up.
Yeah.
Because, as I said already, the thing that killed me the most about this entire process was the exhaustion. And that was all my own doing.
From thinking.
And that was from just overthinking the entire process. Emotionally, now that it's done, I'm delighted. I'm really, really happy that I got it done. I'm excited as well to sort of see, the results. Yeah. I'm really keen to see what my hairline looks like because I've not seen it in 20 years.
I'm going to tell you here now. Do you know what? When you FaceTime me last Monday from the hotel room, and I looked and I thought, oh my God, the difference in your face now. I mean, your forehead is
it goes on for days.
Well, talk about Aunt Deck. I swear, your forehead is brighter than my future. But you look brilliant.
Thank you.
So I think, like, as time goes on, you're going to see this improvement that you've seen in your colleague, and it made you, what? Hold on a wee second, because initially you thought about it a number of years ago. You put it to bed. You were like, do you know what? It is what it is. I'm happy with the way I am. And then one day, boom, that came into your head, and you were like thinking to yourself, no, wait, hold on, because it looked so good, and it does.
Thank you.
I can tell you now, I'm looking at you now a week later, and you look really, really good. And I don't want to say you look amazing, it's changed everything, but what it has done, I'm going to tell you, this is the one word I would describe how you look: fresh.
Thank you. Thank you.
You look fresh.
I don't feel fresh. I'm fucking exhausted.
I know. And you're full of scabs.
I'm full of scabs.
And you're running about with puppy pads and everything.
Although that part is now over, I have to say. I don't have to put a pad down now. Well, not for the back of my head anyway.
Oh, here. I think it's marvellous. Honest to almighty God, I really, really do.
So I am keen to see sort of what the coming months is going to be like, because for anybody that's not aware, essentially what will happen is the hair that's been transplanted. So it will grow slightly, and then after about a month, there's a shock phase. And the way that it was described to me is it's like, if you imagine you've planted a tree in a certain type of soil, and then you come along and you rip that tree up, and then you plant it in a different type of soil.
Yeah.
the tree will take some time to sort of readjust. So your hair is kind of the same. So what will happen is any transplanted follicle, it will shed the hair that's in there.
Yeah.
And then it will take time for the actual hair to grow.
Right,
so
okay.
for the next year, I'm probably going to look a little bit like Albert Einstein, where the side of my hair is going to grow significantly faster than the hair on the top of my head.
Top of your head.
And I can't use a clipper or anything for at least a year. It has to be scissor cut.
Oh,
so
right,
I'm going to look pretty awful from a hair point of view anyway for the next year.
There's going to come a moment where you wake up and we'll be in spring, summer, and you're going to look and you're going to go, wow. You're going to put your hand on your head without thinking and go, oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to, like, without jumping on the bandwagon, in the last 2 weeks, there's things that I've been doing with my legs, my body and my hips that I went, oh my God, I just done that. I'd done it without thinking because it was a natural thing to do because I was so fearful of redislocation, and that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it was a wee moment I had to myself. So, you know, as you go on, and honestly, you look so fresh right now.
I'm actually super excited to be able to grow a fringe, Tina. I genuinely am, because I've not had one, and I don't know whether partially or truly. I think I have been joking about this, but
ladies and gentlemen, introducing Claudia Winkelmann and Marshall Adams.
He's going to grow bangs. He's going to grow this massive fringe just so I can walk up and go, you all right? And for the benefit of the podcast, I'm sort of like flicking my hand in front of my forehead.
Do you know the gays who have no hair at all, but they still manage to
tuck their hair behind their ears?
Yeah. Check your stuff, love.
So what did you say there? To try to move my hair out of my eyes.
Come here. Tell me this, love. Knowing what you know now, would you do it all over again?
Absolutely. I have been on the phone to Longevita this morning asking them already, can I book in for next year?
Oh, wow.
So
for 2026.
2026. So whenever I started this journey, I sent over my images. They did tell me that I would need 2 transplants.
Okay.
Now, the most that you can really do comfortably in one sitting is 4,500 grafts.
Right.
I would need a lot more than that.
Okay.
And what I had done is between 3,000 and 3,500.
Right.
So the next sitting will address my crown. And the centre of my head. But you have to wait 10 months.
For the first one to take.
For the first one. And then after the 10 months, they'll be able then to assess whether or not, you know, how the surgeries went and so on.
Yeah.
So they told me to send photographs to them really at the 6-month phase. And then what they'll do is they'll be able to kind of tell me whether or not it's okay for me to book in for January.
Wow.
And then it'll ultimately decide at the 10-month mark whether or not I can go for the second one. I'm praying that I can. I would really want the other part done. Knowing what I know now, I'm really excited about it.
Oh my God. What advice would you give to someone considering a hair transplant?
Do it.
Really?
Do it. If you've ever had any sort of uncertainty or you've maybe felt a little bit self-conscious but thought, or price has been a blocker, which, to be honest, as I said at the top of the pod, price was a big influence into the reason for me getting this done.
Okay, let me ask you this question. You see the company you went with, the hospital you went with, what was their name?
So the company I booked through was Longevita. So Longevita. I'll put it into the description of the episode.
And you chose them, that specific company, you chose Turkey because why?
They had over 1,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. They've had over 100,000 surgeries done.
Wow.
It was a personal recommendation from a friend who then, more I spoke to people about it, I came across another 2 people. One was a complete random stranger that I had met at Manchester Pride. Complete random stranger. And we got talking and he had indicated that he had had a hair transplant. And I had said I had booked in. And he was like, oh, where are you going? And I had said, oh, Longevita. And he went, you're not going to believe this. That's where I went.
Wow.
And his head, Gary actually commented saying, like, you've got a really good head of hair. And he went, it's not natural. That's how the conversation started.
Wow.
So there were 3 different people at 3 different times that all had been to Longevita at some point.
And Longevita, tell me this, is it just hair transplants or is it right across the board?
They do a lot of other procedures, but please do your research.
Do your own research.
I can only talk to the fact of a hair transplant.
Because that's what you had done.
Exactly.
Okay, love.
But if you are seriously considering, please hit me up on socials.
Yeah.
Talk to me. I'm quite happy to have a conversation with you
Lovely.
on a one-on-one. But also, because I have been with Longevita, I am now considered a Longevita ambassador. And that basically means that because I'm a customer with them,
Yeah.
if you decide to book, you will get £200 off
Wow.
your surgery if you quote my name, or send me your details and I'll pass it on to them and they can get in touch with you. Full disclosure, if you go through with the surgery, I also get £200,
Do you?
but only on completion of your surgery.
Wow, that's amazing.
But you'll get £200 off the overall cost.
So say for
just by
instance, it
mentioning
was me going, and then you recommended me, and you put all my details through with my contact details,
Yep.
along with yours. I get £200 off my surgery.
off the top line. So if it's
And you say it's £1,800, I get it for
1,600.
£1,600, and you get £200 back.
but only whenever you actually go for the surgery.
When it's
so it's only when it's done. You know
Wow,
that way.
that's amazing.
It's not bad.
That's amazing.
Not bad.
And here, this is my last question. Okay, so and I think this is the question, Glenn. How do
Tina.
you think this experience will impact your confidence and daily life moving forward?
Well, I would say that it will definitely impact my confidence as a gay man.
Our Glenn's a gay man now.
As a gay man, you know, there is a sort of almost this kind of pressure on us to look great. Personally, I've never conformed to that. Genuinely, I've always just looked a bit of a mess.
Oh, you don't, you fuck HG. I just thought you were lovely.
Oh, thanks very much. But I definitely think it will boost my confidence, particularly in my appearance. You know, like I'll have hair. I'll be able to sort of wear the latest styles of hairstyles. I hope I'll be able to wear the latest hairstyles that other people are wearing. Get my hair did. Go for a bouncy blow.
Be demi wave.
But
coming
yeah,
over to pick me up in the hatchback.
with my hair blowing in the window, you know, head out the window with the hair flowing.
Bit of Britney on, 'cause I'm stronger than yesterday. My way, my loneliness ain't killing me no more.
But I think it'll definitely impact my confidence, just
Aye.
in ways that I probably haven't. I haven't really thought about yet, to be honest.
And it'll hit you within the next 3 to 4 weeks when you start to see little bits, and you'll be like, Gary, look.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's lovely. That's really, really nice. I just think, as I said at the very, very top, you know, years ago, 10, 12, 15 years ago, plastic surgery was frowned upon.
Yeah.
It really was. And all of this stuff about people who go for, you know, the tummy tucks and the weight loss surgery and all of that. I am the biggest advocate for anybody who wants to get something done. Go for it.
Yep.
Don't worry about what anybody else has got to say or anybody else's opinion. If it's going to enhance your life for the better, get it booked. Get in contact with Glenn Marshall Adams via the Sips and Giggles podcast, and he will talk to you one-on-one, answer all questions, all queries, all doubts, all fears. And as you heard him say, ladies and gentlemen, he overthought it yet again. But when he went through it, he lay back with his new scabby head, with his puppy pads and his lovely inflated memory foam travelling pillow, and thought, I'm done.
Yeah. I've arrived.
And you have visions of being in the next L'Oreal hair show.
Do you know what I actually am keen? I'm super excited. Is holiday photos.
Wow,
Tina, and you know, now that I've thought about it,
did you feel a bit of doubt or something when you were looking at yourself in photographs and
just
on
I
holiday
always do
and
look
thinking,
at.
I wish I was.
Do you know the reason why? Because a lot of people in my life have still got their natural hair. Like if you take my husband, he's got a good head of hair.
He has one cracking head of hair, that man.
Got a good head of hair. And then we've got Mark, has got a head of hair. And we were away at Christmas there. We were at Christmas there with Gillian and Sean, and I was looking at photographs of them. Head of hair. You, head of hair. So it's like
I meant sitting up in the bun.
I know, but you know what I mean? And
I'm only 41.
Ton
57, I'll knock you out.
But you know, I'm keen to maybe, I guess that I'd be keen to look at holiday photos, hopefully, when I've got a full head of hair and I sort of I fit into that head of hair club, you know. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm excited about that.
What's the one thing you wish you'd known before starting this process?
Just pain. It goes back to this pain. One thing,
Did it put fear in you?
it did. It really made me.
And it was unnecessary.
Yeah, because when you remember whenever we spoke on the episode of your hip hop,
Yeah.
and I asked
Hip hop hooray.
and I asked you about, you know, what was going through your head
Yes.
the day before and the morning off the surgery, and you were just like,
No.
excited.
That was it.
But in my head, I couldn't really comprehend that that's the way that you felt, because for me, there was an inherent.
You were looking at me and go, what?
I'm looking at you going like, I don't understand. I need to. That's why I said, like, I'd love to be able to compartmentalize things the way that you do.
I do.
That honestly, and that I think would have made things a whole lot easier on myself for this surgery.
Yeah.
But
I
as
wish
said,
you had a phoned me and said to me, this is the way you're thinking. And if you had told me, and I would have said it in a much softer, easier way, the way I approached when I got the letter for my surgery.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, here we go. I did underestimate what it was going to be like afterwards. But regardless of that,
But you slept easy the night before.
I did.
Do you know what I mean?
I did.
Whereas
I woke up at 5 o'clock and I thought I'd get my hips done.
Yeah.
And then I texted.
You were excited about it.
I was excited. And then I texted Kathy within 5 minutes, please tell me you're awake. And straight away, you see the wee bubbles on WhatsApp replying, yes, honey, I'm awake. I'm just getting the car ready. And I hobbled down the stairs and took the dog and went for a walk. My mindset, I think, is a very kind of sort of survivory type of coming through the troubles mindset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to go down that path. It's not about me. It's about you. But I just wish you had said to me, Tina, what, love? I'm breaking it.
But you know, I don't think there's something that you could have said to me that would have changed my mind.
No, it wouldn't have.
Because I think it's one of those things, Tina, honestly, that unless you go through it, that you'll not truly believe. Do you know that way? It's kind of like Tina's trying to really just pacify me. This is in my head. If I see that conversation as going, Tina's just trying to pacify me here. I'm still petrified.
I'll tell you this. See if you had a phone me and said to me, Tina, what, love? I am breaking it. What are you scared of? The pain. And now, well, there's nothing you can do about it.
I know.
That's exactly what I would have said to you. Because this is the way, when you're in God's hands, as I say, you're in the surgeon's hands. And I think of any surgeon who has done all the training, or given up their lives, and they're dedicated to their field, and you know, and you're in their hands.
Yeah.
And as you said earlier on, you could go to the United Kingdom. You could go to what's up that area in the United Kingdom,
Harley Street
in
London. Yeah.
You could book the best surgeon in the world, and he still might make a mistake.
Yeah.
Or you might get a reaction that you didn't know, and he didn't know, or she didn't know that was going to happen. You know, and you just, to me, I just think, embrace.
It's control the controllables,
Embrace.
right? It's things that are outside of your control. Shouldn't really pay them any mind.
That's it.
Unfortunately, my mind doesn't work that way. But that is...
Well, I hope now what they did was they made a wee secret incision that you don't know about, and they pressed the confidence button and they turned it up about 50 decibels, and they went, right, put.
It's definitely changed my entire perception of surgeries. It's... You know, it's not to say that every surgery is going to be like this. I'm not saying that. I totally understand that. But it has changed my perception of, because it is the kind of the first kind of surgical procedure I've ever really had done.
Good.
In the entire, you know, and touch wood that it stays that way. But
until this time next year,
which I'm bloody excited for.
Good.
And I rest assured I will have a decent night's sleep that night, because I'd be like, right, is it time yet? Whisk me to
summer 2026. Glenn is going to come out to doing a big Dragster Richard Madonna mix. So he is. In the Crumlin Road jail, we're going to do a Madonna show. And you're going to do, don't go for second best, baby. Put your love to the test. You know, the big pointy boobs and all. Oh,
with my hair up in a top knot.
Yeah. You know, that big plaited ponytail and all. We go, oh, look at her.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But... I guess that is the one thing I wish I had have known, which is just how ridiculous I was being about pain management. Yes.
To yourself.
Yes.
You're
I wish that I had.
up.
I guess I wish I had an honest conversation And don't get me wrong, there was people, as I said, there was friends, there was people that I could have reached out to.
Absolutely.
I just didn't because
Chose not to.
It's kind of like everybody's different. And
They are.
I truly think that no matter what anybody would have said to me, I still would have felt the same way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just a really
Well, it's like when I
terrible
think back at the
habit.
time you went on the skyscraper over the stratosphere
Mm-hmm.
over in Las Vegas, and you never thought twice about standing on the edge of a building in this suit
Mm-hmm.
with a rope tied to your back, and you just jumped off
Mm-hmm.
500 feet, and you got all the way to the bottom in about like 10 seconds. I mean, that would never happen to me. And if you tried to pacify me and saying you're going to be fine,
Yeah.
I would have went you, I'm not.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Whereas you understand what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's the same thing.
It's the
Yeah,
same thing.
100%.
Whereas I would embrace getting surgery. I'd be like, right, where you go? Whereas you would go up and put that big suit on, put the wee belt on. I would look at you and I would think, there's something wrong with him. You would never be able to pacify me. So I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
I definitely get it.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that draws our wee sips and giggles. Glenn Marshall Adams hair transplant in Turkey 2025 to a close.
It does, indeed, it does.
does.
So thank you so much for sitting down and chatting to me about this. And don't forget, listeners, please share the pod. Help us get discovered. Send it to a friend, a family member, a co-worker, the lady at the grocery store. If you're just anybody's asking what you're listening to, tell them that it's G&T Sips and Giggles. But please share the pod. And don't forget to leave us a review. 5 stars only. For anybody that's left us a 4-star review, I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to drop kick you. But your reviews really mean the world to us. So thank you so much.
Yeah, they really do. They're marvelous. Can't believe this is episode 35.
It's episode 35.
Wow.
And in an upcoming episode, we are going to invite along a friend of mine who's going to talk about her Monjaro journey. So stay tuned for that.
Wow, that'll be. Oh, that's the weight loss.
That's weight loss, yeah.
Girl.
She's lost over 3 stone.
Oh my goodness.
So
good
we've
for
got-
her.
Keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely.
In the meantime,
Chin chin.
thanks for tuning in to this episode of G&T Sips and Giggles. If you've enjoyed our conversation, then don't forget to share it with your friends, and why not subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Your reviews mean the world to us and really help others find the show, so please take a moment to leave one. But be kind. If you'd like to support the podcast, why not consider joining us on Patreon? For the cost of a drink a month, you can listen to episodes early, access exclusive digital content, and get discounts to upcoming G&T shows. Your support helps us keep the conversation flowing. Cheers, we'll see you next time. Chin chin.